Welcome to Global Speakers Talk. I'm Amy Thurman. Have you ever thought you really wanted someone to come rescue you from this life? You wanted this hero, this knight in shining armor to step in and just scoop you out of this miserable existence? Have you ever felt that? I have too. I was searching for that so deeply and so badly, waiting for someone to come rescue me. But you know what? I found my own hero within. And today I want to talk to you about how I did that, the short version of how I was able to find my own hero within. I, at this point, am an inspirational speaker, a best-selling author, a podcast host, and I'm living the life of my dreams. But my life hasn't always been that way. 10 years ago, I passed out and landed on my face on the hardwood floor. The impact sheared my brainstem, caused a traumatic brain injury, and it actually broke my neck, but that went undetected for 6 months, leaving me disabled and completely incapacitated for nearly a year. I had to lay flat in my bed for 23 hours a day for almost a year. I went from working at a major university to not being able to take myself to the restroom the very next day. I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't hear or see correctly, and I had to wear a cover over my eyes, earplugs in my ears, and I could barely speak above a whisper. I have 3 children, and I completely missed that entire year of their lives. My daughter was a senior in high school, my son was a freshman, and my little guy was 4 years old, and I completely missed that entire year of their lives. It was a miserable, miserable existence. And I wanted someone to come rescue me. I wanted someone to come save me from this miserable existence. I knew that I didn't want to live that way. I was determined to live in a way that did not include incapacitation. And so I began to pray. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed that I would die because I was not living, I was merely existing. And I knew that I had enough pain medication to make it happen. And I fully intended to use that. And I had this plan. I had it all laid out. I had this plan. That's what I was going to do. I was going to put my family out of this burden. I felt like a burden to my family. And so I was going to relieve them of this burden and I was going to relieve myself of this pain because there was no one coming to save me. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And there was no one coming to my rescue because they didn't know what to do. But I had this moment of clarity. If you've ever been in a deep, deep, dark place, you know this feeling so well. Your thinking is very foggy, it's very muddy, and you don't think clearly. And all of a sudden, I had this moment of clarity that said to my heart, what if you don't have to die? What if you can take the same energy you're using, trying to die, and use it instead to fight to live? Maybe you can get better. And if you can get better, maybe you can use your story to help other people. And that's what it has become. I chose in that moment, it was a battle, it wasn't instantaneous. But once I decided to fight, I began to fight to live with the intention of using my story to help other people. And that's what I've been able to do. I've spent the past 10 years, excuse me, I spent the past 10 years advocating for myself, fighting my way through the medical and disability systems to reclaim my life. And so now, as I shared in the beginning, I'm able to do all of those cool things that are allowing me to live the life of my dreams. But it was a process. It was not an overnight, snap my fingers kind of thing. It was a process. When I was laying in that bed, and after I chose to fight to live, as a former educator and social worker, I've learned a few things about emotions and about how the body works. And I was so focused on everything negative because I couldn't do anything that I could do before the accident. Literally, I couldn't do anything. I had to lay flat in that bed. And so I was only focused on what I couldn't do. And from my background in education and social work, I knew that that negative mindset was not going to get me anywhere, that I was never going to be able to get better with that negative mindset. And so I knew that not only did I have to stop that, but I had to replace it with something. And so I chose to replace it with uplifting messages. I had my husband on let's see, they were called iPods. You remember those old iPods? I had an old iPod. he loaded up audiobooks and podcasts, and I began listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins. I was introduced to the wisdom of Rumi and all of those luminaries. And I came across this poem that changed my life. It goes like this: Ye who seek God apart, that which you seek thou art. If you wish to seek the beloved's face, polish the mirror and gaze into that space. That wisdom of Rumi spoke to me on a deep, deep level, and it told me that every answer I seek can be found within. That I need to stop looking outside myself for someone to come rescue me, for someone to come fulfill me, for validation, for all of the things that I've been looking for. I could look inside myself and find those. I no longer had to look outside myself. So I began to learn how to polish the mirror of my life. And part of that includes what I have learned over the past 10 years is connecting with my soul. And so I have begun to learn the difference in self-love and soul love. Everyone is pushing self-love these days. Everyone wants us to take care of ourselves. And so self-love is the thing that you hear about. It's the buzzword. And it is important. I do not deny that. We have to have self-love before we can get to soul love. But our ultimate goal should be to get to soul love. Soul love should be what we're talking about instead of self love. It is the next step beyond self love. We go to soul love. And I love to talk about how it has made a change in my life, how it has allowed me to not only improve my health and be able to learn to walk again, I can drive again, I can hold my head up for longer periods of time. I can do sessions and interviews like this because I've learned to connect with my soul and live from a place of soul love. And I want to share with you a few of the differences in self love and soul love because that is the way to find your hero within. I chronicled it all in my book. It's a best selling book. It's called Finding My Hero Within. It's my journey from living from incapacitation to empowerment, if you want to know more. But some of the differences in self love and soul love are: self love is mostly fear based, and soul love is love based. Self love is a good thing. I keep saying that. I don't want you to think that I'm saying it's not good. It is a good thing. But most of the time, it's from a place of fear. We're protecting ourselves, we're setting boundaries, we are resting so that we can relieve stress. It's a protective mechanism, it's a preventive mechanism. While it is good, it comes from a place of fear, of prevention and protection. But soul love is based in love. It's pure unconditional love. It will always lead you to love. There are no expectations. Self-love is based on expectations and other people's influence. Soul love is not. Soul love is just pure unconditional love that we have inside us at our core. It's there. It's just waiting to be tapped into. And so what I found is most of the time we're living from self-love, and that is what people expect us to be. The influences and the expectations that other people have put on us, that we come into this world knowing who we are and what our purpose is, and people begin to try to change that. If you think back to when you were a child, well-meaning people in our lives began to change who we are. They began to tell us, don't do that. That's not the way we do things. Stop doing that. That's offensive. Or that's not how society does things. And they begin to urge us to become different. And so we forget who we came here to be. And so that's what self-love is based in. Soul love is a remembering. It helps us remember not only who we are, but who we came here to be and the difference that we came here to make in our world. We all came here with a purpose, with a mission to help this earth, to help this world, to help the souls here become better and to help relieve the suffering. But when we forget that and forget who we are, then we end up being the ones who are suffering. So I will say to you, if you are feeling like you're suffering, if you're feeling like if you don't feel well, and I'm not talking physically, I'm talking emotionally, if you feel like, Oh, I just don't feel well. I'm always angry, or I'm always upset, or I'm always frustrated. I'm always depressed. Any of those feelings that feel uncomfortable, that's not coming from a place of soul love. Soul love gives us a whole different world. It opens up a whole new world to us. And I have been through so much along my journey. I don't have time right now to go into detail. That's why I put it all in my book. But I've been through so much along my journey, and people keep saying to me, "How did you do it? How did you make it through all of that?" And it's because I live from a place of soul love. When you live from a place of soul love, you see things from a different perspective. Within the past 8 months of my life, I have had a second major neck surgery. I have been in 2 car accidents. I just finished recovery from my neck surgery and was instantly hit with a car accident, and then 3 weeks later, another car accident. So I was right back into physical therapy in the doctor's offices. I had a case of my books stolen off of my porch. My house was involved in a fire. My son broke his hand. I had COVID. Okay, it just goes on and on. That's just within the last 8 months of my life. Okay. And people are saying to me, "How are you still so positive? How are you still able to look at things from the lens that you're seeing them?" And it's because I live from a place of soul love. I see everything as having a purpose in my life. All of those things that have happened to me in the past 8 months have taught me so much about what I needed to know to be able to reach the next level. I like to say that life is like a video game. I watched my sons play video games for a long, long time, and I've learned a lot about life from watching them play the video games. They use these cheat codes and they use these shortcuts to go around the obstacles, to go around the hard parts of the game. But you know what happens when they get to the next level? They don't know what to do. They're unprepared because they haven't been through the trials and the obstacles that they needed to go through in the level before that to be able to learn what they needed to learn to get through the next level. It works the same in life. We want a shortcut. We want to go around. We want to use these cheat codes to get around the obstacles and the hard parts of our lives. But you know what? Those parts of our lives are meant to teach us something. They're there to prepare us so that we can reach the next level of living, so that we can move to higher and higher levels of living. And I've learned to see life that way. I've learned to see the obstacles and the hard things and the trials and the tribulations as a gift. And now, when I hear people share things that seem like they are just horrible, that you would just ruin their lives in a convoluted kind of way, inside I'm cheering a little bit because I know that it doesn't mean it will, because you have the power to choose, but it can give them an opportunity to move to a higher level, to see life from a whole different perspective, and to gain insight that they couldn't have gained otherwise. And so that's what I'm here to share with you today. That's how I've been able to find my hero within, is by learning to move from self-love to soul love. And there's a whole process in doing that. I don't have time to share that with you right now, but I wanted you to know that it's possible, that we all have a power within us. It's in there. It's waiting for us to tap into it. And if we can connect with our souls, we can connect to that power and we can live the life of our dreams. And so part of that includes the way to connect with your soul is just quieting your mind. I don't know if you believe in meditation or if you believe in prayer or whatever you believe in, but if you just close your eyes, take some deep breaths, just quiet your mind and just try and connect with your body, connect with yourself, connect with everything that's inside of you. Most of the time when I help people do this, they're not doing it and not able to do it because their lives are so busy. They're doing so many things because they don't want to deal with what's inside. But the first step is dealing with what's inside and seeing what's there and allowing it to be what it is in order to move to the next level of living. And so I encourage you today to take those steps, to get quiet, to close your eyes, to take some deep breaths and connect with that power that's within, because it's in there just waiting for you to tap into it. Thank you so much to the Global Speakers Talk for having me today. This has been such an honor to share my story and my experience with you. And my website is www.getamyshelp.com if you would like more information or to connect with me on the socials. I love to connect with you with people on the socials, and I would love to connect with you through that. So thank you again for having me, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.